Every interior designer understands this frustration. You pour hours into perfecting a kitchen design. You refine the layout, select the finishes, and obsess over every detail. But when you finally present it to your client, they hesitate and second guess. It's not about your creativity or professionalism, it's your communication. Even the most brilliant design can fall flat if clients can't clearly see the vision. So today we're gonna fix that together. I will show you 5 steps to present your kitchen designs so clients can understand them right away and approve them faster with fewer revisions. Because here's the truth, when your presentation doesn't explain the entire story, you're wasting time, energy, and profit on back and forth that shouldn't even be happening in the first place. So let's change that. In this video, I'll be using Rayon Design, which if you don't know yet, it's the new gen effortless CAD tool for interior designers and architects, where you can do anything from importing DWGs and PDFs, to drawing and editing floor plans and sections, to fully fleshing out your design presentations with stylized mood boards, and even built-in AI tools. This entire presentation that I'm about to show you was made in Rayon from A to Z. You can go ahead and create a free account using the link below. Let's get started. Your architectural floor plans, sections, and design details might look crystal clear to you, but clients don't see line work the way that we do. They just kind of see confusion. And that's why adding realistic materials, accurate colors, and detailed text annotations help them envision what seems obvious on your end. So this is a complete set that we have in Rayon that we're going to take a look at today. I'll just kind of run through the pages really quickly, just kind of the layout. So we have our title sheet in here. We've got the table of contents, some conceptual stuff, and then we go into our, more detailed technical drawings like the floor plan, the sections, some inspiration images, axonometric views, and again, we're going to deep dive into some of this stuff in this video, but ending up over here at the FF&E schedule and just kind of a little closer sheet. So that's kind of an overall look at this presentation. And again, we'll talk about 5 different things that we can do with this presentation to make it a little bit more clear and obvious to our clients. Even some of the small things like having consistent fonts and hierarchy in your layouts make a really big difference on how finished and trustworthy your design looks. A polished drawing can tell your client this is real, this is ready to be built. Let me just go ahead and show you a little before and after of what I mean. This is just an example of a project that I created in Rayon Design. It is a DWG that I imported into Rayon to scale, which, by the way, if you didn't know, you can import PDFs or just draw accurately from scratch directly in the tool. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I did this. So I'm popping over into my model canvas, which I encourage you to go check out some other videos on the page if you want to understand the difference between paper canvas and model canvas. But essentially the model canvas is just where you're going to be drawing. The paper canvas is where you're going to be presenting those drawings. So if we pop over to the model canvas, I just want to show you what this could look like, or what this might look like already as you're presenting them. Now, this is actually pretty detailed as it is. This is a floor plan and a section. We've got door swings and that kind of thing, but it's not as good as it could be. So just by adding a few materials, dimensions, maybe a couple of annotations, we can really make this drawing understandable. Again, just that basic line work doesn't really compute with everyone. Obviously, in our designer brains, we get it, but everyone else might not understand. So let's just zoom over to what this could look like if it were a little bit more stylized and understandable for the client. So you can already see, even with just a little simple wood texture on the floor, and down here, especially with, our backsplash, our cabinet color, our metal on our different appliances, you start to understand, or at least your client will start to understand better, this layout. So let me just show you how you can apply these different styles, dimensions, and add some annotations as well. So in our drawing here, we have basically this drawing is made up of different blocks or just shapes. And so if I were to double click in here and select one of these, you can see that this is basically just a shape that I can add a different style to. So over here in this right-hand panel, you can see that I have a different style applied to, for instance, these cabinets than I do to maybe this refrigerator or something like that. You can see I've got a metal style applied there, and then over in the cabinets, I've got a wood texture. So with our block or our shape or anything like that, you can add different styles. So if I come over here, I'm just going to go ahead and detach this style just so I can show you how to create a new style. So if I detach this, it's going to show me what the fill of that shape is and what the stroke of that shape is. So we want to change the fill. So I'm going to just say remove fill, and you can see that it basically took that shape away. And now if I go to add fill, just click on this add fill. Now you can click on different fills up here. So whether you want a solid, a gradient, a texture, there's a whole library of lovely textures in here. There's, you know, all kinds of different wood or tiles, carpet, that kind of thing. You can also apply a hatch, which would be like a little bit more basic representation, but you can see it kind of works well for certain things, like for instance, this backsplash. Or you can even upload your own image, which I really love. So if there's a specific material that you have, you can just add that here. So just say upload and then add in your own. Now, if you already have another material in the project that you like, you could also just grab this little eyedropper and you can eyedrop another style that you like, and then it will apply that to whatever shape you are hovering over. And then if you really like that style, or if you've created a new style that you want to use on in the future in this project or another project, you can just kind of create your own library just by saying plus, and you can save that style. So I'll hit the plus button, and then you can name it. You can edit any other properties. If you go back to, if you click this little image right here, you can also edit the opacity of it. So if you don't want it, you know, super opaque, if you want a little bit transparency, or you can also always adjust some of these filters like the exposure, contrast, saturation. And then on some of these, like the texture and the hatch, you can adjust the transformation of it. So that's where you'd be able to scale it up or down, rotate it, all that good stuff. So because I like this wood and we're going to keep this wood, I'm just going to eyedrop that and keep that on our cabinets. That whole process is something that you will just basically replicate as you move throughout your model. Now, if I get out of my edit mode here, I'll show you how to add in some dimensions as well. So down on this little bar here, we've got a little thing that says dimension. And basically this is pretty simple. All you're going to do is just click point A and point B, and then it's going to give you your dimension between those 2 points. So if I want to measure this countertop, I'm just going to click, and then I will drag it out down here. Now you can see that the style of this dimension looks a little bit different than the other dimension style that we have here. So just as we did with these cabinets, you can edit the style of pretty much anything in here. So whether it's the font, the color, an annotation, a dimension. And again, you're just going to do that right over here on this side. So you can select from different fonts, different colors, different sizes. And similarly to our original style that we were just editing up here, you can also grab that little eyedropper. If there is another style in your project already that you really like, you can just grab that eyedropper and eyedrop right on that, and it's going to match that style, which can be a huge time saver. So after you kind of start your project, this might seem like a lot of like upfront work trying to get this style reeled in and trying to make sure that, you know, everything kind of matches. But once you create these styles, you have them for the future. And so you kind of have that style library and that standard library for your future design documentation. So that was step one, where we kind of like refined our drawings. Now in step two, I'm going to show you how you can add images to tell your story a little bit further. We don't need to just show the floor plan. We want to show the entire story, right? So this is where you can include images of your inspiration, textures, tone references right next to the layout of your design. When clients are able to see how the mood board interacts with the plan, they can understand your design intent a little bit better, not just the geometry. So this step really bridges imagination and approval, and it's where that emotional buy-in really happens. And this is actually really easy to do in Rayon. You can actually set up your presentation and mood boards directly where you draw your architectural drawings, so you don't have to like jump between different tools or pay for different software subscriptions. So let me show you real quick how I made a few of these mood boards. If we just zoom in on, let's just say these sections here. Now you can see that we're kind of like creating this visual that goes along with the sections. So not only are the different styles that we've applied to these sections going to help that comprehension, but these additional images are going to help put some of the pieces together in the client's mind. So I just want to show you how you can quickly drop in an image onto your presentation board. So let's just say that I want to replace this faucet here. So I'm going to just delete that and show you how easy it is to bring in an image. You can either just copy the image straight from the internet, you can save it directly to your desktop and then kind of import it or something like that. I'm just going to show you how to do it from the internet. So if I go to just like a faucet search, and let's just say that I found an image that I like, I can just right click and copy that image and then go back to my Rayon canvas and just hit paste, and it's just going to come right in there. So then that's where I can kind of like scale it. I can also, if it has some sort of like background that's not white, it looks like this one already has a white background, but if yours doesn't, you can just click on edit image down here and then AI will remove the background for you. It's also nice if you want to kind of stack things on top of each other and just kind of like really create that like collage. You can also upscale using AI here as well. So if it's like a really low resolution image, which this one looks pretty low, so we could say upscale, and it's just going to make that a higher resolution. You can see that it really crisped that up. It looks like it doubled the size. So once you're done with that, you just say done, and then you've got it right there. And you can see I can stack it on top of things now because it's kind of got that transparent background. So that's how you can easily add these images to your views. Now you can also add images into shapes. You can see that these are all kind of like a circle shape. So how you would do that is just by placing a shape, and then you will just add a fill over here in the style. And this is where you would just add your image. So if you have that image on your desktop, you would just say upload, and it will basically fill that circle with your image. On to step 3, we're gonna leverage AI for fast 3D views. Many interior design workflows are solely 2D based, but honestly, before getting client approval, modeling an accurate 3D kitchen can be a big waste of time until it's approved. But today we have AI tools that can help us, and that doesn't mean that you can't give your clients the perspective that they need. Rayon has this built-in AI panel that is just for you. So now we can use that to generate quick 3D axonometric views of our kitchen layouts without actually 3D modeling. So in seconds, your plan is going to turn into a realistic, easy to understand visual. As you can see here, we have a couple of different examples. These are just AI generated based on floor plans and sections that we prompted it with. And this really helps your client grasp the scale, the layout, the flow. And once they see that, they can approve it faster. So let's see how I was able to create these plans here. We're going to go over here into our little panel here, and we're going to click on AI chat. Now we're going to basically prompt this to create a 3D axonometric view from sections and floor plans that we've already created. So actually I'm gonna pop into my model canvas. So I've got this up on the screen and go back to my AI chat. And then here we're just going to prompt it and say, create a 3D axonometric view from this floor plan and sections. You can also like add in additional prompts to kind of like help it. Sometimes it helps it, sometimes it hurts it. So you might have to play around a little bit with it. But I'm gonna just say like maintain style and see how that does. And then we also want to click this little plus sign and say add screenshot. And that's going to allow us to take a screenshot right here of what we want it to use. And then we're going to just hit this little send and we'll let it do the work and see what it comes up with. Okay, so over here we can see that it has created a view for us. It doesn't look super accurate, but we can go ahead and insert image so we can take a better look at it. You can see that it's definitely retained some of the style. It's retained a lot of it, honestly, but it got the island a little bit wrong, which is okay. So that's kind of where you can continue to refine and prompt, but I think it did a good job of keeping the same kind of style. I do think that the more information you give it, the better. For instance, originally when I was kind of playing around with this, I just gave it the sections and it didn't do a great job. So I think giving it that floor plan does really help. And you can see that it also kind of like grabbed that wood floor style and applies it as well. So again, I think the more information you give it, the better. But if it doesn't turn out exactly like how you want, just kind of keep prompting it and continue to give it more information to really understand what your design is. And then once you have it, again, just import it right into your drawing. You can just plop it right here on your model space and then use it in your paper space later. So moving back into our paper canvas, we are going to talk about step 4, which is creating accurate spec sheets. Transparency truly builds trust, and if you can add a table that includes materials, appliances, costs, lead time, clients appreciate that when you anticipate their questions before they ask them. When they can see everything that's included, what's available, how it all fits in their budget, the hesitation just starts to disappear. And in this case, like all others, you can create these sheets directly in Rayon. You don't need to switch over to Excel, and definitely you do not need to manually count and sum your totals. So let's just take a minute to see how you can create an accurate spec sheet super fast. There are a few different ways to create different tables in Rayon. The first, and probably like the most simplistic, is just like a basic table with lines, shapes, text that you would just create like you were just, drawing a table with different tools. So that's kind of what is shown here. Now there are faster and I guess more accurate ways to also show tables that I'm going to show you in a second. But let's just see what we're working with here. So you can see that this is all just like plain text. We've got some line work. It's just basically a basic table. And you can simply add that by clicking down here in the layout arrow and just click table. And that's going to essentially start you out with some nice columns and rows to start adding your information. But like I said, there are better ways to do this. So I'm going to just show you a couple of those ways. So first of all, if you do like this kind of style of table, but maybe you want all this information to be parametric to the actual blocks, styles, whatever in your drawing. And by that, I mean, if you have a refrigerator block in your model, you can actually apply custom properties to that block. So different information. So for instance, the cost, the size, the description. And then if that were to change throughout the project, so if you decided to source from a different brand, all you would have to do is update the block and then your table would update as well. So let's just take a look at this refrigerator, for example. So if I were to double click on any of this text, you can see that it's just basically plain text. But if you wanted to make it that parametric property, so let's focus in on this supplier manufacturer text right here. So if I were to double click this, you can see that it's basically just plain text that you can edit, which is totally fine. But again, it's more of like a dumb version. And I think it's probably smarter to use a smart version that would essentially update if you needed it to. So in order to do that, we can just go to add variable on this text. And we're going to basically have it look at our block. So I know that our block is called whatever. I don't know how to pronounce this, but this is what it's called. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to click on our brand, which says IKEA. I'm going to delete this text here. And you can see that IKEA kind of shows up different than the Sub-Zero. And that's because the Sub-Zero, this is just plain text. The IKEA is actually like a tag. So if I go into that block later and I change the custom properties of it, so let's just go into our block. I believe it's this one. So if I go into the block, I double click here and let's just say that we end up changing the brand back to Sub-Zero. Now we go back to our paper canvas and you can see that this has updated back to Sub-Zero because it is basically tied to that block. Now you can do that same exact thing with all of this information. For instance, the cost, if that gets updated, or the lead time, if that gets updated, that's how you would tie it back in. Now, there's another way to create tables, and that is to go over here to our tables and hit plus. And this is going to create a table with all of the blocks in either the paper canvas or the model canvas. You would specify that. So I'm going to say model canvas. So the way this canvas is set up is that it has a lot of pre-made blocks with different, base cabinets and that kind of thing. So those are all showing up over here. And then to continue to refine the table, you can just add columns. So again, if we want to add maybe brand, then you would have all of the brands show up here. And then maybe if you want to also add in category or something like that here. And then you can kind of just start refining your table based on these things. And then you can kind of start filtering things based on what you want to show. So for instance, if you want this to be a furniture table, then you would refine that in your filter under your category. Or if you want it to just be materials. And it all depends on how you set yourself up. So this is going to be a really good approach if you have modeled in a very clean way, a very organized way. And then once you get your table organized in the way that you want it to, you can actually just insert that table directly into your paper canvas. So I'm just going to say insert, and now you can see that that entire table came up. And again, this will be the same kind of like parametric thing that I showed you with those tags. So anytime that you update any of the brand of all of these or the category or whatever, that's going to update in your table. So then similarly to the manual tables, you can just kind of adjust this very easily if you need to scale it up or down or change any of the style, the color, the font, anything like that. You would just do that how we've already done so far. And in our final step, step 5, we are going to share our presentation like a pro. As designers, we need to stop printing and sending PDFs that go out of date the moment that you hit send. Bringing paper to your client meetings feels super outdated, and it's honestly a missed opportunity to impress them and showcase your professionalism. With Rayon, you can share your presentations online through a live link, one that updates automatically. So you can also showcase it on a screen or in a Zoom meeting and let clients scroll and zoom to see it clearly. It keeps everyone on the same page, literally. No lost versions, no confusion, no email clutter. Your client always sees the latest design, and you look very organized and professional. So let me just show you how simple it is. And by the way, you can access the link to this model and presentation in the tutorial description down below. So if you do want to export this drawing set to PDF to have a hard copy, all you have to do is go to this little hamburger menu and go to export and then PDF, and you can just export specific pages, all pages, and then it will prompt you to adjust some of your settings here before you print it out. Now, if you pop over to your model canvas, you'll see that there are some more options. So we can actually export this model canvas to DWG if you'd like to as well. So that's going to bring it to scale into any other CAD programs. And popping back to the paper canvas, this is where you can do that live link. So I'm just going to click this little share button over here in the right-hand corner. This is where you can add clients or collaborators or even team members' emails. You can select them as an admin, editor, viewer, and then just hit that invite button. If you don't want to do it there, you can also just create a public link and copy that link and just share it via email. You can also save or export this model as a template and or presentation if you'd like as well. And that wraps up 5 ways to level up your presentation. Winning client buy-in isn't about more meetings or more mood boards. It's about clarity, confidence, and communication. Refine your visuals, tell the story, show the details, share seamlessly, and use technology to make your ideas more clear. When you do that, your clients stop hesitating and start saying yes. If you found this tutorial helpful, feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. And of course, you're welcome to create a free Rayon account using the link below and see how it can enhance your workflow. Also, let us know in the comments if you have any other tips for faster client buy-in. See you next time.